Hello everyone, my name is Yuliia and you are watching Multicultural's Community Hour. In this segment, we are talking about civic issues in Winnipeg, Manitoba. In today's show, I want you to meet Abdikheir Ahmed. He is an executive director of Aurora Family Therapy Centre, which provides therapy to strengthen family relationships, individuals, and communities through cross-cultural and trauma-informed care. Hello, Abdi. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me, Yuliia.
And today, Abdi is going to tell us about programs and services provided by their center and give advices to those who are struggling and who need help with the family issues. First of all, can you please introduce yourself and Aurora Family Center?
My name is Abdikheir Ahmed. The shorter version, most people, they find it easier to call me Abdikheir Ahmed. My longer version is Abdikheir Ahmed, but both are fine. I'm the executive director of Aurora Family Therapy Centre. Aurora Family Therapy Centre is an organization that provides therapy and mental health support, as well as community programming from a multicultural perspective to diverse community members and Canadians. We provide a host of programs. Probably the longest running program for our organization is the Family Therapy Program, where we run programs for the general population. We provide family therapy to community members from all kinds of background. We have a low-cost, the only low-cost therapy program of its kind in this city, actually in the province. We provide people with therapy on a sliding scale. There's a scale for higher income and there's a scale for people who are low income, going as low as $5. We also have a mental health program for new Canadians, newcomers of all backgrounds. You can be a permanent resident, naturalized Canadian citizen, or if you are an international student, we also support you. We also provide community development programs to newcomers. As well, we do a mental health assessment for all newly arrived government-assisted refugees, people who have been brought by the government of Canada as refugees here. So we have this whole scale of programs that are feeding each other to be able to support communities. Our community development programs are getting people out of loneliness and bringing them into wellness to be able to introduce into community activities.
So your center has a variety of different programs, starting from therapy and into newcomers help. So which one do you find the most in demand? What people's most need help with?
All our programs are in demand. Our family therapy program, for example, sees over 1,000 clients every year. We have a lot of people seeking help throughout the year. We find that during the colder season, we have more people who are asking for support in this program. We find that during the summer, people are able to connect with family relationships, take the trip, get out of stress, get outdoors, and all this kind of. So we have lesser people seeking help for this program during the summer. We also see through our community development program, we see over 2,000 people who are newcomers who also need to be engaged in community activities to be able to engage with their peers, with community members, with activities and community programs in the community. We see about 400 people through our psychosocial settlement needs assessment for refugees. So most of our programs are quite in demand across the board. The newcomer mental health program sees over 120 clients a year on a specialized support for mental health, specifically people who need longer term support in therapy as well as mental health supports.
What is the difference between therapists and psychologists? Because I think a lot of people confusion.
Yeah, this is an important question. A lot of, especially people who are newcomers to the country, who don't have this concept of therapy, have difficulty understanding. So a therapist is someone who sees a person from a systemic perspective. They look at an individual from their relational perspective. They look at the family and everybody, the things that are around the person. So they address the person's needs from a holistic perspective, including their families, the surrounding environment, and all that kind of stuff. A psychologist focuses on the individual and supports that individual. The other difference is that a psychologist is able to do an assessment and diagnose, issues with the client who's needing support, someone who's needing mental health support, and be able to direct prescription and all this kind of stuff, while family therapists are not able to do diagnostics.
There are lots of different books and a lot of free information and resources on the internet where people can read it and working out on your mental issues. Are these resources the same effect as therapist, or we need to go to the therapist and it will be more effective?
Many of these resources are good for people generally. Resources that people use are important. It's better than not using nothing. So people who make the step of looking for resources in terms of books and all that, it's good. There are tons of resources in the community. There are low-cost programs that people can refer themselves, self-refer to, or can be referred by other community members. There are, community wellness programs that exist. However, between solely using books and resources that are published and seeing a therapist, someone who can see you, the preference is for you to be seen by a therapist, because the personal relationship for someone that you can hear you, that you can bounce ideas with, is able to listen and be able to provide you with solutions or ideas in terms of how you can address your issues. And when you talk to someone, you offload the issues that you have, the challenges and the things that you're thinking about, and what is making it difficult for you, and the challenges you're facing. You're able to share it and pour it to someone who can address it, or from the perspective of a professional who can listen to you and and provide you with some direction and ideas. This way you get it out of yourself. While if you just focus on reading materials, you may end up retaining some of these kind of things, and of course you will have ideas in terms of how to resolve. Books may be able to tell you to seek help, and you may be able to get ideas in terms of that it is better off for you to get to a person that can provide you with this support. But solely focusing on books while providing some ideas, a therapist is a better choice to go to a person, to see someone individually.
A 2022 survey by the Angus Reid Institute reported that 1 in 3 Canadians are struggling with their mental issues, but there is still a stigma that therapy is only for people suffering debilitating mental illness. Why is it happening, and why people still think that therapy is not for everyone?
What I'll say is that this is mostly around socio-cultural beliefs of community members. A lot of our society, there's been some evolving in our society in terms of normalizing mental health and mental health needs. But generally, we live in a sort of a society that's conserved when it comes to addressing mental health issues. And the socio-cultural beliefs, there's a lot of stigma around mental health because of the thinking that only people who are crazy, so-called crazy, are the ones who seek therapy. And if you are possessed in some cultures, for example, African cultures, or some Southern cultures believe that if you have a mental health issue, you're actually possessed, and you need someone to exorcise those demons out of you. Some communities think, others think that if you have a mental health problem, there's something wrong with your mind and all these kind of things. But the idea is to take mental health along the same lines as physical health, and to normalize talking about mental health issues, so that people are able to address this as a normal thing and to talk about it in our day-to-day lives, I think.
What steps should we take to change it and to prove that we need to take care not on our physical body, but also mental health?
First of all, the first step is to normalize mental health challenges and see the mental health challenges as the same as physical challenges, because most people focus on the body. Like, when, for example, your knee is injured, you think about my knee is injured and you think about the physical health. Most people, they don't think about the fact that, if you're struggling with mental health issues, it's not equated to the same level as someone who is suffering some physical effects. So the first idea is to bring it to the level of a physical health issue. The second level is to bring it to a normal situation, to normalize it, to talk about it as a normal thing, because everybody struggles with a mental health issue. It's the spectrum that matters. There are folks who everybody has. There are folks who it affects more severely, and there are folks who are moderate, and there are folks who are affected on a lower level. So everybody has these mental health challenges. It's the different spectrums that people have. So we need to be able to think about it from this perspective and normalize it as the second thing. And then the last thing is to be able to think about seeing a mental health professional as a normal thing, just like you seek physical help for physical illness. When you have those kind of illness.
You just have said that all we have varying different mental issues, but for some people it's really challenging to talk about that, and they cannot accept the fact that they need a professional help. Why does it happen, and how to feel convenient to talk about that issues?
I think why it happens that people don't pay attention to that they pay attention to the fact to their mental health, that they are suffering or they're having challenges with their mental health, is that we don't pay attention to it most of the time. We keep on postponing that that we have mental health, because we do not treat it with the same seriousness of a physical health. The other difference is that with the physical health problem, you can easily identify it and you can see it. For example, if you have a stomach ache, you know where it hurts. Mental health challenges, or it's difficult to identify, and it's difficult to pinpoint those kind of issues, the kind of experiences that you're having. So most people, and in normal life, you can get going even though you have a mental health issue. And as I said, people at different spectrums, you can keep going and carry on with whatever you're doing, in your daily life as if nothing is happening, because you cannot pinpoint it. And you think that in most cases, because we haven't normalized it, it's not a common thing that we always seek help for. We think that we can keep going and be able to postpone and be able to respond to other needs in our life, until we reach a point where, in most cases, people crash, and that's when they think about, I need help at this time. I think the way to address it is to be able to treat mental health issues like any other health issue, to be able to identify when you're dealing with a mental health, when things have changed, to balance your life so that you are not burning yourself out, to think about what is important in your life, and how to balance your life between what is important for your life and what you do for work. I think so that you're able to live a balanced life from that perspective. Then this way you stay on a balanced life so that you don't get to a situation where you end up in a crisis, you know. And then the last thing is to, you know, support society to be able to understand that mental health is a normal thing that people live with, and for people to around you, your families and people around you to be able to understand, to educate people that it's important to think about your mental health, and that when you have mental health, it's okay to seek help from a therapist or a professional that can help you. So it all zeroes around normalizing, educating the community, being able to identify, you know, when you have a mental health issue, and being able to also equate a mental health issue to a physical health issue. Just the way we take care of physical health issue, we're able to take care of mental health issue.
When people just starting to have mental issues or experiencing family issues, they keep telling themselves that they are okay, they don't need a help, and cannot accept the fact that they really need that help. What is the red flag that you need to ask for professional help?
The red flag for you when you need to ask for professional help is when you see yourself withdrawing from your family, for example. You are not connecting with your friends and family in the way that you connected. You're withdrawing to yourself. You are doing things in the ways that you are not used to doing. That you are not able to get going with the work that you do. You're having challenges accomplishing normal tasks as you have always accomplished, and that you're having, anxiety. You're having difficulties, with yourself. You think about you are starting to have thoughts about, why certain things are acting in certain ways. You start to think about thoughts about, harming yourself and all these kind of things. When you start to have these kind of patterns around you, you need to think about the fact that, something is changing with you, and you need to be able to, you need to seek help. A lot of people in different communities approach it from different perspectives. The idea of therapy or seeking support from a mental health professional is new to many cultures. And a lot of people seek help in different ways. Some communities seek help from their religious figures. For example, going to see a church pastor, a church leader, or a rabbi, or an imam in the mosque, or some people go to elders in their community to seek help. There are also people who use traditional mechanisms to be able to address these kind of things. All are valid. All are valid because people need to be able to at least seek help wherever they can as the first priority. The next thing is to think about seeking help from a professional therapist. I think is something that we need to promote, that is conversant with all these cultures and their contribution to helping and improving people's mental health situation.
What would be your advice for those people who just started their way of healing themselves and their family relationships?
The advice for people who have started their healing relationships is that healing takes time. When you have a physical health problem and you go to, for example, let's say you're admitted to the hospital. You don't take medication and become okay the next day. Or if, for example, you have some issue with your body structure and you see a chiropractor, the chiropractor gives you several appointments to come from time to time to be able to adjust you. Now, from a mental health perspective, it's even more demanding when you talk about healing, because we're talking about healing the invisible. It takes time. People need to be patient, to take the time to continue to focus on enriching themselves and being able to take the necessary steps to move towards a position of healing, to also use their familiar relationships to continue to be aware of their situation and to be able to help them move along. My advice is for people not to rush, to think that they have healed very quickly, because it can be catastrophic. That as soon as you feel that you're okay, you feel you're completely okay, but it takes time. And people need to be okay with the fact that it takes time, and that they don't need to be impatient and feel that they're in this situation for a long time, therefore it's a problem. It's only good for their long-term health that they take the time and focus on themselves for the longer time, because mental health problems take a long time to be addressed, to be resolved.
So we don't need to wait quick results, yeah?
There are no quick outcomes when it comes to addressing mental health issues with individuals. It takes time, it requires patience, it requires that people are able to focus on themselves and the issues that affect them over a long time, rather than thinking, okay, here, pop, it's finished, and tomorrow I'm going to move on. It doesn't happen like that. Certainly, with the people that we work with, we encourage them to take the time and to be able to be supported by a mental health professional over a period of time. It requires the individual to commit themselves to healing.
It's everyday work. Every
day, to commit yourself to healing and to think about the fact that you need to take this step for you to be better. I have seen in my work a lot of people who come for help, and as soon as they start to feel better, they think they have healed and move on to something else, and all of a sudden they're back to square one. Mm-hmm. So the advice for community members is to take the time to ensure that you continue to see a mental health professional, to ensure that you focus on yourself as a person and within your relationship, so that you can be supported to regain your physical and mental health to be a whole person again.
Sometimes when we share with our relatives and our friends that we started seeing a therapist, we get a reaction like, what's wrong with you? Are you on the meds? If you need to talk to someone, you can always talk to me. But if we tell them that we joined the gym, we get a positive reaction, that we care of our bodies, ourselves. So how come that it's good to take care of our bodies and not okay for your mind?
This is a common issue with our society again, that physical health and mental health are seen as two different things. Yeah. And people are able to focus on physical health, and they see mental health as an abnormal kind of a thing, a crazy thing, that mental health issues only happen to people who are crazy, people, as I said, in certain cultures, that you are possessed or you have a devilish presence in your mind, all those this kind of stuff. And for those even who don't have this kind of beliefs, there is the feeling that mental health is there's no much importance laid to mental health, because people don't see it as a visible thing, just the way we see mental health. We go to the gym, we feel physical, physical improvement, we lose weight, good shape, and all this. These are things that you can view. With the mental health issues, you cannot view. You only feel it as you improve yourself in terms of how you do things, mm-hmm. and how you carry yourself and your experiences. Most people don't focus on mental health because in some aspects it's treated as crazy. and that only people who are crazy seek help. That's why people start to think, okay, are you having a problem, or are you taking medication? When you start to see a therapist, they don't think in terms of the way you go to the gym or you go to see a doctor who can diagnose you medication. So the most important thing is to, again, normalize mental health issues, to talk about it, to addressing it, to share it with our relationships and all that kind of stuff, to bring it to almost like a normal thing, to a normal thing, just the way we address physical health, I think, and to be able to talk about it with our friends, and how it's important, and how seeing a therapist is the same as seeing a doctor or going to the gym, and promoting it amongst our community members. Unfortunately, we are still a long way from getting to a place where we normalize it, and it's still quite difficult amongst communities to be able to accept the fact that a mental health challenge is a normal thing that everybody has, that people have different spectrums of mental health situations, and that you get to a certain spectrum where you need you need help. We are not yet there, but I think the idea is to support community members to normalize, to understand, to talk about it, to address it as a common challenge, and to the fact that everybody struggles with mental health issues.
On your website, I found an interesting quote. It goes like this: "We repeat what we don't repair." Can you explain the meaning?
So, human beings are creatures of behavior, and behaviors create patterns. And the patterns that we're used to, we keep on repeating it. Communication, how we do things, the things that we are used to, we keep on repeating it all the time, unconscious of the fact that whether it is harming another person or whether it's a problem. Okay. The idea is to be able to understand that what we do, the patterns of behavior, whatever we do, how we carry ourselves up, communication, and all these kind of things are able to, it's possible that they have impacts on our familiar relationships and the people we work with and the people around us, and to be able to seek help for those kind of things, or be able to rectify where we think, how we do things, so that we are not addressing new things, but we are addressing the pattern that we have dealt with and how it's affecting other people.
What is the success of building a healthy relationship, of building a healthy mental health? What first thing should we consider in terms of how fast we can heal ourselves?
Started from a place of mental health as a normal thing, and then the next thing is to focus on yourself and the challenges that you are facing, and to take time for yourself as the individual, because if you don't take time for yourself to be able to address these kind of things, then you keep on postponing and falling into issues. Until you get to a place where you're able to feel, you have started to feel better and all these kind of things, most people don't actually realize that it's having an impact. What they're doing, what they have done for themselves, is having an impact on the situation that they're facing, I think. I don't know if I've answered the question.
Yes, it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
And the last thing before I let you go is, what would be your messages for people who are thinking about visiting your center but still cannot decide whether they need it?
Aurora is a multicultural place. We meet people where they are. We connect with you, whoever you are, irrespective of your gender, your background, your culture, your religion, your age, your sexual orientation. We meet you where you are, and we create a safe, welcoming opportunity for people, and we don't judge people. We're able to talk to you and support you based on your needs. We have mental health professionals and therapists that are able to support people, have diverse cultural backgrounds and training to support people from diverse cultural backgrounds. So we have this environment that you will feel comfortable when you get to a place. So my challenge to people who are experiencing or think that they're having mental health challenges is to take the step, to take the move, whether it's a family issue, whether your family is having some, misunderstanding. Even when you have family conflict, there's a genesis of that family conflict, something that starts reacting to, whether it's patterns of behavior of what you have done that's affecting each other, whether it's extreme reaction, actions of people who are experiencing mental health or people who are facing burnout. So even family conflict as a result of people's feelings in terms of their mental health situation. So all these kind of things, we have people who will listen to you, people who will understand your feelings, your cultures. I talked about, people having their traditional ways of addressing mental health situation. From Aurora's perspective, we value all these, the contributions of all these cultures and how they heal mental health issues. And we take it upon ourselves to be able to accommodate what you do in your society and be able to complement that from a professional mental health perspective.
Thank you, Abdi, for coming in, for sharing all your experience. I think now more people will understand better that it is important and vital to take care of our mental health, and we'll visit your center as well.
Thank you, Yuliia. I really appreciate that you invited me to talk about the work that Aurora does, and we hope that the community is able to make use of our programs. We are open. We support families who need therapy. We support people who are needing mental health, support. We support community members who, are feeling isolated. So first thing is for people to make the trip to at least check with Aurora. So thank you for having me, and hope to connect with people from Aurora.
Of course, and thank you our audience for joining us today. We hope you enjoy it. If you like the episode, please like, share and subscribe to see our upcoming episodes.